Welcome to Defense Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Iran told US it did not want Israel-Hamas war to escalate. Is Washington responsible for what Israel does with American weapons? Russia loads missile with nuclear-capable glide vehicle into launch silo. David McBride, Australian war crimes whistleblower, pleads guilty. Analysis: what China's Xi gained from his Biden meeting. Iran told US it did not want Israel-Hamas war to escalate. Financial Times. Iran has warned the US that if Israeli attacks on Gaza continue, the region could face a wider conflict. Iran's foreign minister, Hossein Amirabdollahian, stated that Iran did not want the Israel-Hamas war to spread but warned that if the crimes against the people of Gaza and the West Bank persist, a wider conflict could be inevitable. Iran has been a main supporter of anti-Israel Islamist militants in the region and has been accused by Western states of supporting resistance groups against Israel. Iran's foreign minister toured the region since the Gaza war began, visiting Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Amirabdollahian argued that these groups, including Hezbollah, are not Iran's proxy forces, but rather have an independent political identity. However, there are concerns in Western capitals that Iran could push its proxy forces to escalate hostilities in the region. The US recently increased its military presence in the region by dispatching 2 carrier strike groups as a deterrent. Is Washington responsible for what Israel does with American weapons? Foreign Affairs. The United States is the biggest backer of the Israeli military, providing it with billions of dollars in military assistance every year. Because of this support and US intelligence sharing, Israel's brutal campaign in the Gaza Strip, launched in response to Hamas's unconscionable attack on Israeli civilians on October 7, raises serious legal and policy issues for the United States. U.S. domestic laws and standards restrict military and intelligence support that would be used to violate the law of war. Further, U.S. officials risk complicity if Israel uses U.S. support to commit war crimes. The Biden administration and the State Department in particular should therefore be taking concrete steps to monitor how Israel is using U.S. weapons and to prevent their misuse. Russia loads missile with nuclear-capable glide vehicle into launch silo. Al Jazeera. Russia has loaded an intercontinental ballistic missile with the Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle, a nuclear-capable weapon, into a launch silo. President Vladimir Putin unveiled the Avangard in 2018 as a response to the US's development of a new generation of weapons. The Avangard can detach from the rocket and maneuver sharply at hypersonic speeds. Russia and the US have both expressed concerns about the deterioration of arms control treaties, while also developing new weapons systems, including hypersonic ones. David McBride, Australian war crimes whistleblower, pleads guilty. Yahoo! David McBride, a whistleblower who helped expose allegations of Australian war crimes in Afghanistan, has pleaded guilty to leaking classified information. McBride, an ex-military lawyer, said he felt a moral duty to speak up after his internal complaints were ignored. He admitted to giving troves of documents to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, which underpinned a series of reports in 2017 called the Afghan Files. McBride was due to face trial next week, but changed his plea after a legal ruling scuppered his defense. A landmark inquiry later found evidence that Australian forces had unlawfully killed 39 Afghans during the war. Analysis: what China's Xi gained from his Biden meeting. Yahoo! President Xi Jinping's first trip to the US in 6 years was a success, with the US achieving aims from China rather than the other way around. Xi Jinping was able to win US policy concessions in exchange for promises of cooperation, enabling him to ease bilateral tensions and focus on economic growth. Japan's Kishida tells Xi they should work for brighter ties. Bloomberg. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and Chinese President Xi Jinping held a bilateral summit in San Francisco on Thursday. The leaders expressed their desire to improve relations between the two countries and work together to create a brighter future. This meeting follows U.S. President Joe Biden's talks with Xi, in which he hailed an improvement in U.S.-China relations. The warmer tone between the U.S. and China has allowed Japan to pursue efforts to improve ties with its biggest trade partner. However, there are still unresolved issues between Japan and China, such as the fate of Japanese citizens detained in China and a territorial dispute over uninhabited islands near Taiwan. Defense whistleblower pleads guilty to leaking classified information. The Sydney Morning Herald. David McBride, a former military lawyer who exposed allegations of war crimes committed by Australian soldiers in Afghanistan, has pleaded guilty to leaking classified information. McBride originally faced 5 charges but pleaded guilty to 3 offenses, including stealing Commonwealth information and passing it on to journalists. The leaked documents led to reports alleging that Australian Special Forces troops committed war crimes in Afghanistan. McBride's sentencing will take place next year. Russian artist jailed for 7 years over anti-war price tag protest. Al Jazeera. Russian artist Alexandra Skokolenko has been sentenced to 7 years in jail and banned from using the internet for 3 years after replacing supermarket price tags with messages criticizing the war in Ukraine. Skokolenko is one of thousands of Russians who have faced punishment for speaking out against the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The artist was arrested in April 2022 in St. Petersburg, and the slogans on the price tags were discovered by an elderly customer who notified the police. Supporters of Skokolenko shouted slogans and expressed their shock at the verdict. Amnesty International condemned the ruling, and human rights group Memorial has designated Skokolenko a political prisoner. Taylor scores 21 as Air Force beats Lindenwood 76-58. Associated Press. Air Force defeated Lindenwood 76-58 in the Air Force Classic. Ethan Taylor led the Falcons with 21 points, while Jeffrey Mills scored 17 points. Keenan Cole led Lindenwood with 17 points. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.